This is American Roundtable. I'm Al Spry.
And I'm Bill Strickland.
So happy to be here on Tough TV and Tough TV 38 Orlando, Florida. Check us out on Facebook, facebook.com/USA Roundtable. We are taking a look at the hottest stories that are crossing our desk, follow-ups from last week's show as well. And we'll be talking about Trump and Russia, of course. This seems to be a recurring story for quite a while. Manchester bombing update. We'll have an update on the surveillance state, which I'm sure you'll be very, very interested in. And then we'll end up with the happiness that can exist when you have the proper surgery. We'll have more on that as well. This is American Roundtable. Boy, I'll tell you, what are your thoughts on these stories today, Bill Strickland?
Hey, it's another day in paradise here in Orlando, Al.
You know, we cover the big stories, we cover the small stories. One thing we don't do is we don't bull nonsense. We almost said something else, but you know what I mean. This is the truth. The whole truth, and nothing but the truth. American Roundtable on Tough TV. Welcome back to the American Roundtable. I'd like to give you an update along with Bill on this situation in Manchester. Of course, the latest terrorist attack as of the date of this broadcast. Authorities in Britain are now more sure than ever that Salman Abedi did not act alone when he detonated a suicide bomb at an Ariana Grande concert in Manchester. They're also tickled that the U.S., actually ticked is the word, at the U.S. for releasing a body's name. Why do you think the Brits would be upset at the U.S. for releasing a Betty's name?
Well, maybe they feel that it would stop further investigation, or somebody knew that they were hot on their trail.
I'll give you, that's their answer. Well, I'll give you one other perspective. Salman Abedi, tied in with ISIS, you got to know the name, you know. They know now it's someone who is obviously continuing along the path of Muslim extremism. And in PC Britain, right, maybe they don't want that information out. Maybe they want people to think his name was Simon O'Toole or something, perhaps. Who knows? His brother was also arrested, a total of 4 people in a connection with the attack. His brother's name, Ismail. Interesting biblical reference there. Why so, Bill? Because Ismail was the guy who led his people away from the Jews to form his own. That was Cain and Abel's kin, you know,
Mm-hmm.
all
From
that
Sarah
stuff.
and Abraham.
That's it, baby. So, not trying to get too biblical, but it's interesting that his name would be Ishmael. Father's denying
Of
that
course.
his son is a bomber.
It always happens that way. Not my son.
Ramadan Abedi. We don't believe in killing innocents, but yet he named his sons Salman and Ishmael, and his name is Ramadan. These are pretty religious people. Pretty religious people. New York Times is saying that Abedi's parents were so worried about his radicalization, they took his passport, returned it only when he said he planned to visit the city of Mecca, and instead he flew from Libya to England, where he grew up, and committed this heinous crime. Salman Abedi, you know, off-duty police officer, was among those killed. We had an 8-year-old girl and many others. We, of course, pass along our condolences. Ariana Grande doing a really nice thing. She has offered to pay funeral costs for all concert bombing victims. She's reached out to the families of those who were killed. She's obviously very, 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 very overcome by this thing, and rightfully so. It was her concert. I would be very much in her camp. So she's reportedly covering the funeral costs of the victims of the Manchester terror attack.
You know, just goes to show you, just because you have money and you're successful doesn't mean you're a jerk. And it was nice that she did this, and I think Mark Wahlberg did something for the Boston people that got hurt or died. So just because somebody's rich, that doesn't mean they're bad.
Absolutely, we like rich people. They're cool, as long as they're ethical and nice. Well, anyway, this is American Roundtable. We'll have more for you after this.
Welcome back to the American Roundtable. So Donald Trump, even though he's out of the country, still is has a bullseye on his back from the liberals or from the media. So what's the latest, Al?
Well, there's a new report in the Washington Post, Bill, that can deepen President Trump's trouble with a special investigator. The newspaper says Trump asked the Director of National Intelligence, Dan Coats, and the Director of National Security Agency, NSA, Mike Rogers, to publicly reject the idea of any collusion between his 2016 campaign and Russia. Both thought the request was inappropriate and both refused. CNN confirms the story. The reason it's trouble, evidence of his request could end up in the hands of Robert Mueller, the special investigator in charge of the Russia inquiry. They're looking at whether Trump tried to impede the FBI's investigation. Personally speaking, I think that's hogwash. I think that Trump, regardless of what you might think, he's not going to incriminate himself by doing that. And even if he did ask to go easy on this, and they said no, that's no evidence of anything either. Again, it's he said kind of stuff, right?
Well, I'm always one to show me the evidence.
Well, Trump could have been coming from the position of, hey, if there's no evidence, like you said, why are you still pursuing this? Mm-hmm. Is this some kind of false line narrative from the people who are out to get him?
Even this ex-CIA director, Brennan, is saying, no, he doesn't really have any evidence.
Yeah, tell me about this Brennan story, Bill.
Well, he went before a committee in Congress, and they asked him point blank, do you have any evidence? And it was like, no, I don't. So he might have been thinking, well, there might be, or I'm seeing some traces of some communication, but there is no real evidence. I don't think anybody's come up with any evidence that the Russians were in collusion with any of the Trump.
Here's the thing. If he really told Comey to get rid of stop some investigation, Comey it is the law that Comey has to go to people, his superiors, and tell him that this is going on. He never did. He says, he took it from notes that he makes after every meeting. Yeah, but he could have made those notes up any time. To me, this isn't any evidence.
There's no proof, as far as I can see.
At this time, there's nothing that says it. I'm not saying something can't come up in the future, but I don't really see it. I see this as nothing more than a bit of a witch hunt. And trust me, if I saw more evidence of this, I'd be the first one to jump on the bandwagon and say, what the heck is the president doing? I'm not here to protect the president. I think that Trump, however, is getting a bit of a raw deal in the first 4 or 5 months of his presidency, unlike anything I've ever seen with other presidents.
Right.
So to me, there seems to be I want to say there seems to be some agenda here, and I wanted to see what you thought.
Well, the Democrats don't like the fact that they lost, because really everything was going in their favor. And so they're going to find some excuse for Hillary losing. And I just want to clarify one thing. When I mentioned the bullseye thing, all that, I was just trying to infer that people were trying to find or take Trump down. Nothing with any violence or whatever. So I just want to clarify that.
It's a good clarification. And, I happen to be of the opinion that there's no smoking gun here at this present time. I just don't see it. But all I see is the news media parroting this Russia story over and over and over and over again. That's all I'm seeing, without any real evidence. They're just trying to keep the story alive, and for what purpose? Obviously to cripple the president in some way, shape, or form, or multiple ways. That's the only thing I could see.
So why would Assange say that he didn't get it from the Russians if he did? I mean, I don't see Assange having any real reason to be bogus about it.
I think that Assange there isn't really a reason for him to say that, because as long as he's not revealing a specific source, he can say what country it came from if he decides to. I consider Assange to be a journalist. The man is an independent journalist. What the leak that was given to Assange of the emails, the Clinton emails especially, was fair game. It's not unlike what Ellsberg did with the Pentagon Papers. Well, we'll have more on this and other ideas on the American Roundtable. Welcome back to the American Roundtable. More on Trump, but this is kind of an interesting little side note. Trump's most unpopular tweet from the past year. As you know, nobody really tweets more as politicians go than the president. But the most unpopular tweet is the one from April 16th, 2017. Quote, I did what was almost an impossible thing to do for a Republican easily won the Electoral College. Now tax returns are brought up again? So why is the president, this almost irks me a bit because I think we share a difference of opinion here, Bill, but I think in the terms of transparency, as all other leaders have done, the president should release his tax returns unless there's something to hide. That's the thing. But I guess this one right here, as far as it received more replies than retweets and likes, it's safe to say the tweet angered a lot of people. So this was obviously his most unpopular tweet. The tweet received roughly 4.5 more times more replies than retweets. That's not a good ratio as far as Twitter goes. But it also got 71,000 likes. But when it comes down to it, if people aren't willing to retweet and like it, they're arguably not willing to fully endorse the tweet. Based on the content and the response, it looks like people are not too fond of Trump bragging about how he won the election, and the fact that he still wants to talk about and deflect on the taxes. Your thoughts, Bill Strickler?
Well, if the IRS can go after normal everyday people and hold them accountable, I believe people feel like the president or Trump should be held to the same standards. Mm-hmm. But then again, everybody in Congress should. So
we're into fair play here on American Roundtable. We think that people should definitely put their cards on the table. But what do you think is going to happen with this Russia collusion idea? You know what I think the real and I think Roger Stone would share this with us, this opinion here. He's spoken about it. Where's the real fire? This is smoke, but where's the fire? The fire is on the Hillary emails. That's the real story that everyone's buried in this Russia collusion business.
Well, this is all a distraction. You take a look at it. We're not talking about Hillary's emails anymore or the Pizzagate with Podesta. No one's saying that those emails weren't real. It seems like who put them out there, and the emails are what's responsible for Hillary losing. Well, let's keep in mind that Comey came out a week before the election. So why would it influence people more? To me, it would have been Comey because it was closer to the election date. So to focus on this thing with the Russians, sometimes they say keep your friends close and your enemies closer. I think this could have been something to where Trump's people, they met with the Russians. Okay, let's get a game plan. Let's become friends, because if you're going to you look at Russia, United States, and China as the most powerful countries in the world. Mm-hmm. So why not have some kind of communication? I don't believe that Russia would have influenced. No one said that Russia got in and changed the number of votes. Mm-hmm. To me, that would be a problem. But they're not saying that. It's basically the emails. Assad is saying that he got it from somebody within Hillary's camp.
Right.
I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, the New York City Police Department took a look at all those emails. And let me tell you something. The New York City Police Department could release those emails and create a firestorm with the content of those emails. Remember that stuff that we were talking about last year? Mm-hmm. That the stuff with the pizza and pasta and the alleged child sex ring and all that? Who knows what's in those emails? Who knows? But this is a lot of distraction, because nobody's really talking about the Hillary emails anymore.
No one's talking about that, and they're not talking about the budget.
Right. And
they're not talking about the health care. The budget wants to cut back, like Trump said he would, social programs and cut back to finance the military. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there are things going on. Do the Democrats want the Republicans to focus on the budget and then cut back on the social programs? I don't think so. That's one of the reasons they get elected.
Well, we'll have more on this, and we'll be talking about a great surgery that helped a gentleman at the end of the show. This is American Roundtable on Tough TV, keeping it real.
And keeping it tough. Welcome back to American Roundtable. So, we see the movies, we see the old stories about being under surveillance, and a lot of people don't believe it. But something came out recently that was called
Surveillance Circa
The
report.
most, right,
Yeah.
the most serious, ranked as one of the most serious events ever documented about surveillance.
This is a bombshell. And of course, we're previewing it now. We'll have more on it on a future show, but this is a bombshell. Describing them as serious constitutional abuses, reports revealed that previously top secret documents show that President Barack Obama spied on Americans for years. What's going on there?
Well, the National Security Agency, according to the report, routinely violated American privacy protections. And 5% or 1 out of 20 people searching for internet data, the NSA checked out and saw what they were doing. Mm-hmm. So 1 out of 20.
1 out of 20 of Americans. Every American.
Americans.
We have 350 some odd million Americans here. That's a lot of Americans being spied on, guys. 1 out of 20.
So when you hear Senator Rand Paul, you have Trump saying that happened. Maybe they're not as delusional as the media makes them out to be.
It seems like when the story comes out about this spying, we already have shown we're spying on leaders from other countries. That came out a few years ago. What's to stop us spying on Rand Paul? Stop spying on or spying on Donald Trump? I bet there was spying on Bernie Sanders. It wouldn't surprise me. Obviously the FISA courts are not, obviously the ones that promote this stuff, and it's been for years, is they're just pretty much a rubber stamp court. But Giuliani, Nima Giuliani, the ACLU's legislative counsel in Washington, said, I think what this emphasizes is the shocking lack of oversight of these programs. The ACLU also claims newly disclosed violations rank as some of the most serious to ever be documented, Bill. They're not playing around. This is a lot of spying going on.
Well, a lot of spying. This is on American citizens.
What do you think about the argument that's saying we got to spy on more people in order to catch terrorists?
Well, our guest that we're going to have on in the next show, that he talks about body language. There's ways to find out which people are going to do something, which people aren't. You don't have to illegally, and this is illegal monitoring, to find out what somebody's up to, if you really want to find out. But you really think that 1 out of 20 people is a potential terrorist? I don't.
This is American Roundtable. We'll have some final thoughts after this. This is American Roundtable. Politics as unusual, and it doesn't get more unusual than this.
That's right.
But let's change the pace a little bit and talk about a body part that's very important to a man, namely the penis. A man received a new penis. It's a, quote, one of the happiest patients, unquote, in the hospital. Why would that be, Bill Strickler?
Well, let's go back and talk about the backstory here. 17 years ago, he lost it during a botched circumcision ritual. Don't go to his doctor, Al. That's all I got to say.
It's a 40-year-old man.
40-year-old man. What the heck is he doing?
I don't think he had a doctor do it. It doesn't sound like a doctor.
Well, it looks like a ritual anyway. So,
imagine getting your tallywhacker suspended from animation. This is not good.
So, a medical team performed the world's first penile transplant in 2014.
Wow.
And this is, and they did this.
He's the third ever plant transplant. So they're getting better at it.
They're getting better. But, there's probably a lot of guys out in our audience that feel like they've had their penis removed by an ex-wife or ex-girlfriend.
Like Bobbitt, John Wayne Bobbitt.
Yeah.
The unnamed patient's doing well. I hope he stays unnamed. It's really not something you want to be known for necessarily, unless you're going into the porn industry or something like that.
Who knows?
Of course, the unnamed patient's doing well. Should have complete sexual and urinary function within 6 months. That means everything's going to work.
Well, I guess we shall see. You'll give us an update as soon as you hear, right?
As soon as I hear something. It's got to be quite emotional when he saw his new penis, according to the International Business Times. For these men, the quote is, the penis defines manhood. The loss of this organ causes tremendous emotional and psychological distress, Bill. I have to let you know that.
Well, all I got to say is, they're trying to reduce the cost while increasing donors. So they're looking for body parts for guys that have been are suffering from botched circumcision. So
The transplant procedure requires reconnecting tiny blood vessels, nerves, muscles, and the urethra, and making sure blood can flow. It's complicated by cost. It's a lack of donors, like you said. The medical tattooing got to match skin tones because you don't want to be dark and have a light-colored penis.
But the biggest problem is in South America.
Why?
South Africa, because they have 250 amputations every year
Oh my gosh.
due to traditional circumcision.
They may have to
rituals.
just go for the loss there, unless they can start growing penises, which is happening as we speak with stem cell technology. Well, we're going to end it right there. I'm Al Spry.
And I'm Bill Strickland.
Happy to be here on Tough TV and Tough TV 38. Remember to keep it real.
And keep it tough.